you guys? It is your boy, Leo Mookie here, and today I'm doing another system fic for that of the channel. And this is one I'm honestly a little bit interested in because it's also with another premise I rarely see or barely see it done well, to be honest. And that is a DxD premise about what if Issei actually had another sibling. However, a majority of the stories are always if Issei had a twin brother, if Issei had that of a little brother, occasionally it always being another character from another anime, or it's just them taking the lazy route and basically just making it a your name story actually, and that always pisses me off because it always seemed fucking lazy. So before I go on a rant, let me basically say that Issei will have that of an older brother, given the fact that technically Issei was considered a miracle child in the light novels because of his parents, having tried for children so many times. So instead, he'll have one older brother who's basically at least a year older than him. I was going to make him like 2 years older, but he would be in college level, but I decided to scrap it. Sure, it would have been interesting, but I'm just not in the mood of working that hard for a story like this. Just a little bit hard enough just to make it get by. So yeah. At any rate, with all that said, this is Tales of DxD. A DxD with that of a Tales of series fanfic system. Basically, the one who will be Issei's older brother, instead of getting that of a sacred gear or being looked upon by that of a god or stuff like that. Instead, he'll basically be looked upon by yours truly, giving him powers beyond that of the world of DxD. And I know some of you may be thinking, now I know that Telltale characters are not the strongest RPG characters in history. I'm pretty much aware. But with the system, they'll all be amplified to the level that, DxD characters won't even be able to touch them. As for this system, I'll go into more details as time goes on. So, with all that said, let's get into this. Shall we, guys? Chapter 0, The Eldest Hyoudou. The year is 2012, during the beginning of March. It is a new year for Japanese schools all across Japan, especially in one town that's basically on the outskirts of Tokyo. A city town by the name of Kuo Town. A tranquil and beautiful town that you would basically see as a place to raise a family or retire from that of the woes of the world. It's also famous for that of one school. A school that basically is known to build that of the next generation of young ladies. That being the prestigious all-girls academy, Kuo Academy, which is also an elevation school, which that of the female students start from that of their first year all the way to their 6th year in elementary school, their first and third years in that of junior high school, and so on and so forth in high school as well. It even has that of college courses as well, in a distance on the other side of town actually, making it one of the most sought after schools for female students known to man. However, that all changed during that of the year of 2010, where that of the school went co-ed all of a sudden. No warning, no nothing. As of course, the majority of students were always going to be females. But over a while, more and more of an influx of male students began to come year by year, when it was only that of 10 students, then that of 30 students. Now it ranges that of 45 male students. And this is overall from that of each of the, school levels after all. There are still a large majority of female students, to be honest. It also doesn't help that many of the male students that arrive at Kuo, a large majority of them are mainly that of males who think it's going to be easy to get a girlfriend. However, there is even a small minority of students, though, of male students that only came to the school just to perv out. And even worse, there's even a lesser brand of male students. Basically, you can count on one hand of male students that only came to the school mainly because of its, reputation for higher learning and education. However, would I tell you that there's actually another male student, or only one male student, who never wanted to come to Kuo Academy to fucking begin with? That one singular student is otherwise known as Seishu Hyoudou, otherwise known as Kuo Academy's Delinquent King. Currently back now with the start of the new year at Kuo Academy, with newly minted first years for that of the high school division, and that of students now moving on to that of the next grade, with many students, a majority all being female students, talking amongst each other while heading into school. Well, only that of a pretty good majority of male students talking with females, but some basically talking to that of their own fellow male students as well. Well, that of one group of 3 male students, all basically heading to school, talking loudly, mainly about that of the body parts of females, mainly around that of the hips, chest, and behind. But a majority of them always just goes back to the chest. This being the perverted trio. The one with that of glasses and that of long black hair that goes only way to that of the upper half of his neck, being Kenji Motohama. The other, one of the tallest, and basically a shaved head and somewhat large ears like a monkey, is named Goki Marahasu. And the last one, and last not least, that of the leader of the perverted trio, the guy who basically looks absolutely plain. The only thing that stands out about him is that of his spiky hair, his spiky brunette hair, and his red shirt under that of his school blazer, is being the leader, Issei Hyoudou, as these 3 are basically the biggest perverts in all of Kuo Academy, as they have no filter. They don't care how much people see them as disgusting or anything else, as the only thing they care about is basically peeping and talking about how hot girls are. Nothing more, nothing less. However, the only thing is that, unlike the other 2, where Motohama is considered that of perverted glasses and is able to basically tell the 3 sizes of any girl that he looks at, and, Mariasu, considered basically the sexual harassment paparazzi who takes pictures of girls without their consent, Issei doesn't really do anything that would basically put him in prison, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending who you ask. And technically, the only thing that basically makes the guy kind of a pervert is, he keeps talking about being a harem king. Other than that, he's kind of the more tamed ones out of all of them. Hell, if anything, Issei's the one being dragged around by that of the worst things that Motohama and Moriyasu do. Issei is always either the scapegoat, being used as a tool, or basically it's a scapegoat for the guys. Ironically, given that he's called the leader, when in fact he barely does anything fully on messed up, unlike the other 2. But other than that, that's just what they're called. And given that they're considered to be the most hated students, somewhat the most hated by the majority of the school in general. However, there is one student above them that is just as much hated, but also is loved in his own way. And as of now, he's currently handing the asses of several newly minted Kuo students that transferred from that of another rival school within Kuo Town. Within one guy basically being sent flying into a wall as he passes out from pain, while basically a few other male Kuo students, and even some students from that of the other school of Kuo Town, known as Sakuin High School, which different from that of Kuo Academy's black uniforms that look similar to that of Western school uniforms. Sakuin High's uniforms are more gray actually, even a touch of white as well. However, as for the person that basically standing all over that of the pile of guys, which you can count being that of 10 guys actually, you can only see, as he basically is quite tall for a Japanese kid his size after all, around that of 5'9" actually, with that of short brown hair, with only a spit of spikes coming down actually, instead of spiking up instead, as he basically has that of a white button-up shirt. However, it's opened up a little bit, showing a bit of his toned chest. And as for that of his, Kuo Academy uniform, basically the sleeves are completely cut up actually from the forearm. He has that of a chain around that of his belt strap, and wearing that of, school slip-on loafers actually. As for his looks, as surprisingly or weird, or basically not too surprisingly, he looks exactly like Issei Hyoudou. The only difference, unlike that of Issei, whose face is somewhat bland and boring, the guy's face is somewhat sharp and actually has a little bit of handsomeness towards him. Basically, it's what if Issei had more of a, less punchable, perverted face and more of a, normal face that basically shows his good qualities. Not to mention, he has that of a scar on the left side of his cheek, which looks like it has healed, but you can still see it quite a bit. Within, the guy that he punched through the wall, groaning a bit, saying, "You goddamn bastard, Hyoudou!" Within, saying, "I can't believe you bastards try to transfer into Kuo Academy just to get back at me. Seriously, how pathetic can you losers be?" Within, many of them still groaning, with one guy saying, "Screw off! Just because you think that you're some kind of king, some king of all those bitches there, you think you can..." Within, he goes to the guy who basically said that before, stomping on his head down to the concrete with a little bit of blood pooling, because he looks like he may have broke the guy's nose, as he continues to stomp on his head over and over again, before then saying, "Stop talking. Good. Now I'm going to make this 100% clear. If you are a delinquent at this school, you're going to show some respect to the girls at this school. You try to do what you bastards try to do a little bit early on, and you're going to be wishing that I put you guys in a hospital and miss your first week or first month in school, in that of Kuo Academy. Got it? Just be glad you're only getting off with just a few bruises and broken bones here and there. Got it, dumbasses?" Within, he doesn't hear anything saying, "Did I say got it?" With Suit say, "Yes, Hyoudou, we got it." And then the boy who looks like Issei and has the same last name as him basically goes over to that of a girl who looks to be quite younger than that of the young man. Actually, by the look of her uniform, which is a lot more longer than that of the usual, Kuo Academy student uniforms, which are basically short-ass skirts. Hers is way longer than the usual ones, showing that she's actually from the junior high school, and she has that of wild, messy hair, but her hair color is also just as wild, as she has that of a tinges of black, pink, and also light blue in her hair. Within, saying, "Can I..." "Oh, right, here you go, senpai." Within, saying, "Likewise. And honestly, you girls should be getting going as soon as you can. Classes are about to start. Not only you don't want to be late, but you're third years now in the junior high and going into the high school division. You got to show that of being a role model after all. Be responsible for the younger ones, got it?" Within, seeing another girl with that brunette hair put into that of, two braided twin tails, saying, "Yes, understand, senpai. Thank you again for helping us." Within, both girls basically run off, and then saying, "Can't believe you bastards try to go after that of junior high kids. For 17 and 18-year-olds, you really are fucking idiots." With that of groaning and basically clicking his tongue, and soon throwing his bag over his shoulder, before then heading right over to the gate going straight into Kuo Academy. Within getting a look from that of a certain girl with that of red frame glasses, a short bob haircut style, with that of a slender figure, and that of, well, quite a curvy hips and ass, to be honest. This being the student council president of Kuo Academy, currently Sona Shitori. Within, as Shitori basically crossing her arms saying, "Hyoudou-kun, I see that you're almost late to classes. And as a third year, I thought you would at least show a lot more responsibility," saying, "Gee, wow, lecturing me again early on in the first day and school hasn't even started, you're already starting to lecture me." Within him basically clicking his tongue again, saying, "Piss off, Shitori, it's too early for this shit." Within, he walks off, as she couldn't help but huff and out of annoyance, saying, out of every single one of the male students in this school outside of the perverted trio, being his little brother, being the leader, it's almost like all Hyoudous just want to basically make a mockery of this school. But then, one female student that was basically walking up right next to that of Sona, being basically a beautiful Japanese young woman who looks the very definition of a Nara Madashiko, but also has a bit of that of, well, no nonsense business type of woman as well, with long black hair, square shaped glasses, a quite, well, beautiful figure, both around the chest, hips, and ass, and also mainly that, and has that of heterochromia eyes, with one eye being green and the other eye being purple. And she can't help but say, "You've tried multiple times, President. I think it's just best to give up. It's now the final year after all, and it seems things aren't changing." Within, she couldn't help but huff, saying, "No, I still have 1 year left. I will set him straight after all. Saishu Hyoudou, be prepared. I will make you a model student. This I swear." With that, as this young man, being Saishu Hyoudou, the older brother of Issei Hyoudou. And you may be wondering, who is Saishu Hyoudou? Well, he's basically, just as I said, the older brother of Issei Hyoudou. But in other iterations, or basically in the way of the world, he is not supposed to exist, actually. Issei Hyoudou is always meant to be an only child. However, it seems fate has changed some things, where usually that of Issei Hyoudou and parents Miki Hyoudou and Goro Hyoudou would try multiple times to have that of a child of their own, with multiple failures. And usually Issei would be that one and only child that they have, and only have, because afraid of losing any more children. But however, in this timeline, in this reality, Saishu Hyoudou was born instead of Issei, at least 1 year before Issei was also born. As the years go on, Issei's life would basically stay the same. He would be friends with that of multiple kids, especially one kid and out of their neighborhood that he and his older brother would basically be friends with, known as Irina Shirao, a tomboyish girl that, well, Issei never knew that she was a girl, but of course, Saishu knew from jump, actually, even though she acted quite boyish after all. However, he didn't really spend much time with them, even though he was he was oldest and he was friends with that of Irina. He was more close with that of a girl with a young woman that he can't help but admire and always looked up to as an older sister figure. A girl who lived in the outskirts of Kuo town in the forest, in that of a lush, large mansion. The young lady's name was Cleria. He just can't remember her last name or family name was, but all he can remember was her name being Cleria, a foreign girl from another country, a beautiful young lady with that of short grayish hair, with that and beautiful lightish blue eyes. You could say that, well, Seishu basically fell in love with her. Well, he knew as he got older, he never was in love with her. He had a crush on her, and he admired her. Back then, he never knew what love truly was. Plus, he was also aware that she already was in love with somebody. A guy by the name of Masayomi. A guy that, well, he always looked up to as a big brother as well. He part of the church. He was basically a clergyman at a church that he and his family used to go to with that of the shit elves back in the day. But after a while, it was stated that both he and Cleria died in a house fire. Nobody knows why or how it burned down. So after that, Irina and her family left too, leaving Issei and that of Seishu all alone. As they got older, Issei became more and more perverted and began thinking more and more about that of girls and boobs and shit like that. However, as his older brother, Seishu already knew why the reason that Issei was so obsessed with that of girls, boobs, and, well, being a pervert after all. It was during one night, Issei and Seishu heard over that of their parents about the reason on why they don't want to have any more kids. Because they're scared of losing them, given how many siblings that both brothers lost over the years. And because of this, they can't help but feel somewhat bad. Seishu feels bad in the fact that he feels like he's nothing but a burden on his parents now, while Issei takes a form of guilt, feeling like he is the reason on why why his parents won't have any other kids, stopping at him, and why they don't have any other siblings, because they're afraid of losing them, and even they don't want them to feel that loss too. So they just stopped at just having them as well. With Issei developing a somewhat form of, well, survivor's guilt and deciding to basically have having multiple women to basically give their grandparents that of multiple grandkids. As for Seishu, honestly, he could really care less. It's not that he doesn't care about his parents' sadness or pain. Trust me, he does. But to be honest, he just doesn't feel anything. Why would he feel for siblings he hasn't met or didn't met? In his own way, he wants to make sure that he has that of a, well responsible and basically good life growing up. So when he graduates high school, he finds that of a worthy lady to fall in love with and have a family with, to basically prove that their, parenting was great and all, and that they did well as great parents, raising him for everything that they done for him growing up. Unfortunately, that's easier said than done, because during that of his second year in junior high school, he soon was labeled a delinquent, all because he basically punched the hell out of one girl's ex-boyfriend for basically harassing her, and soon after, he's labeled a delinquent kid. It also doesn't help that after that incident, many other delinquents basically started coming after him for no apparent reason. Soon he found out that the reason why is because the delinquent, that one guy, that asshole guy that he punched, basically paid a bunch of delinquents from other junior high schools to basically, beat the living hell out of him, to teach him a lesson to not get involved with other people's problems. And due to that, he was able to fight off the guys, but barely. Hell, to the point that he literally got stabbed in the cheek by one of the delinquents and had to go to that of the emergency room just to get stitches, which soon led to that of his, iconic left scar. After that day, everybody saw him as a delinquent, or basically a violent kid that planned for him to be that of a model citizen for that of his parents, to prove that they raised him to be a good guy, was basically now gone down the damn drain. Since then, Seishu basically went down that a delinquent route, being violent with that of people who deserve it at his junior high school, always basically, well, mouthing off to teachers, even to the point that he basically beat the hell out of one teacher who tried to, well, try to look down on him. Even one point, he doesn't even discriminate. He even beats the hell out of female students, like a bunch of, well, female students that caused a lot of problems around the school but are considered model students. But in a way, these incidents were basically him helping other people, actually. Like, if he sees any other delinquent student harassing other students, he basically beats the living hell out of them. As for that teacher that was harassing him and trying to put him in his place, he was basically a creep who was leering at that of many other, well, female students and even teachers to basically kick. So he beat the hell out of him and basically told him to never come back. As for those girls, they were basically harassing tons of, well, female students and using that of their family's money to basically do whatever the hell they want. So he basically showed them that what happens when they rely too much on their family money and not on themselves. They get a beat down. As these may be seen as random acts of violence, but Saishu does this to help out others in need, mainly people that can't fight back for themselves. Not to mention, because of this, and because of his brother, who was basically known to be a freaking pervert and hits on many of the girls, a lot of people believe him is the same thing. However, he was able to squash those rumors when they basically gave him the looks of a disgusting pervert before he basically gives them death glares, as that is not the look of a pervert. That is a look of a man that will basically beat you in an inch of your life. So instead, he got the rumors of basically being a violent outcast. But even so, even with all of these, he's still that of a high-ranking student when it comes to grades, academics, and other things too, even outside of school. When outside of school, he's basically the nicest kid that you would ever meet in your life, helping out people in need when necessary, even taking up part-time jobs to help out his parents pay bills as well. Even though his dad already has a well-paying job that's able to support him, that's able to support his family, again, Saishu wants to do something good for that of his parents to show that he does care. Unfortunately, he was only able to get a job once he turns that of 15, though. So yeah. But as soon as he was about to head to high school and was planning on heading to that of Kuo Town's other high school, Saishu Academy, however, his parents gave him a curveball. That curveball being sent to Kuo Academy. He and Issei, as Issei finishing his final year at that of Kuo Academy's junior high division, and Seishu basically beginning that of Kuo Academy, his first year as a high schooler at Kuo, being one of the first few male students. With that, he really did not want to deal with this bullshit. Far from it. He even argued that he'd rather go to that Saishu High School instead than Kuo Academy because there are probably many friends, not to mention, due to his reputation, who knows what these girls would think, especially how gossip girls basically be spreading rumors. However, his parents basically decided to not listen to that of their son, and mainly only did it to basically, well, help out that of their kids' education after all, given how high academically and how prestigious Kuo Academy is. Of course, Seishu basically decided because of the academics, after all, and wanted to basically get a good job for his parents. But Issei, on the other hand, who's already basically gone fully into the pervert route to basically have multiple girls to have multiple kids to give grandkids to his parents, believes that this was the perfect plan for his dream of being a harem king for his parents. So in a way, they both get what they want, but one of them basically suffers. Or rather, both of them begin to suffer. Due to that Saishu's, well, popularity as from junior high school and all across that of Kuo, there are basically two camps of people at Kuo Academy, especially during that of his first, second, and current third years. That being the students who have heard rumors of him basically being a wild delinquent that will basically fight, beat, and basically steal or even kill to get what he wants. And then there's basically the girls who have found that of, well, Seishu being a delinquent kind of hot and a bit of a turn on for them after all. Because even Kuo Academy has their fair share of delinquent girls after all. From delinquent girls to that of gyros, and gals as well, basically find him attractive in his own way. Not to mention, a few majority of students have actually seen the good in that of Seishu and find out the rumors are basically out of basis. But of course, a large majority of female and male students believe of him being that of a violent punk, which he is to people who deserve it. But for those who don't, for those who can't fight back, for those who just want to live a normal, peaceful, and caring life, he's basically the nicest guy that you would ever meet. But unfortunately, rumors spread no matter what. Not to mention the fact that he's also part of that of, well, Kuo Academy's gardening club. And ironically, he's the vice president of the club too, currently now in his 3rd year. So again, the rumors spread like crazy because many of the male students who became delinquents or transferred over to Kuo Academy to basically put the guy in his place thought that he gone soft being part of the gardening club. But the dude was part of the gardening club since the beginning of the 1st year. So the moment that they hear that, they think he's weak, pathetic, gone soft, not the same badass that he was in junior high school. Little did they know, they basically effed up and screwed up majorly when they got their asses kicked, sent to either the, well, nurse's office or even to that of the hospital. That's just the kind of person that Seishu Hyoudou is. He's a delinquent with a heart of gold, always looking out for the little guys that nobody else will. As the day now goes by, with the bell finally ringing for the end of Kuo Academy's first day. Within, Seishu grabbing his things, preparing to head outside, especially given that they got to prepare for that of the new influx of, well, club members for the gardening club. As soon as he heads outside, heading outside to the outskirts of Kuo Academy, nearing that of a massive greenhouse. Within, however, right next to it, being that of a small building, being that of the club room for the gardening club. Within saying, "Hello there, ladies. Everybody ready for?" Within, seeing that of several girls heading out. Within saying, "What the?" As soon heading back inside saying, "Hey, Prez, why the hell are the girls heading out?" Within, seeing the president of the gardening club, a girl with that of long purple hair, with that of, well, a quite modest but still quite curvaceous figure, with that of bright purple eyes, and she can't help but sigh, saying, "You didn't hear, Hyoudou? Not surprising. Turns out the gardening club has been effectively shut down." Within, he basically couldn't help but drop his bag, saying, "The fuck? What the hell do you mean that we've been shut down? The gardening club has been part of Kuo for years. Not to mention that of our charity sales that we do to basically raise funds for the school by selling certain plants and fruits and vegetables. Why the fuck are we being shut down now?" Mainly because of this. As giving him the paper, looking over that of the sheet, saying, "By orders of the student body and faculty office, due to that of problematic rumors around the gardening club, the gardening club is hereby suspended for foreseeable future." What the fuck? Why would we haven't done anything wrong? Nothing at all. Within, soon she's saying, "That's exactly what I tried telling them. However, their argument saying is that certain plants that we have been selling are narcotics." Within, him saying, "Wait, narcotic? There's no..." Within, thinking multiple times, saying, "Don't tell me those rumors." Saying, "Yep, due to you being part of the gardening club, a lot of people believe that since you're a delinquent in their eyes, that a rumor spread about, yeah, I heard of this goddamn rumor. The rumor saying that I'm basically selling weed outside of the school and using the gardening club as a front." But it's just that, a freaking rumor. We all know I wouldn't do that shit. Within one of the female students who was also preparing to leave saying, to be fair, there were the weird batch of tomatoes that you planted, senpai. And she grabs her things and leaves saying, okay, I can explain about those tomatoes. They were bad seeds. Given the seeds I originally planned to get were basically out of at the gardening store. Within soon, the president saying, either way, doesn't matter. For the foreseeable future, the gardening club is suspended. And most likely, until within soon, Seishu came to a realization saying, until I graduate. Great. But then he can't help but grit his fist in that of anger and even growl a bit. Before then, the president basically patting him on the shoulder saying, it's been a good run. But many of us have already started to find new clubs. Probably should do the same, Hyoudou. Within hearing that, Seishu couldn't help but sigh, saying, yeah, find a new club. Guess I'm going back to the go-home club then. With that, picking up his bag as well, looking back at that of the gardening club, before then, closing that of the doors, saying, man, fuck this school, and especially fuck you, Shitori. I know that glasses-wearing bitch had something to do with it. No student council should have that much fucking power, and yet she does. God, it pisses me off. Seriously, if it isn't her or that of Shinra, it's also that of Gremory and Hamejima. Seriously, why do people keep sucking up to those girls? I don't freaking get it. Hell, I'm pretty sure Issei doesn't even know about a majority of them at all. And yet the bastard's been at this school for 1 year, now his second year. Ugh. Then, as he heads back home, he soon notices his brother running away from that of the Kendo club, alongside that of his two perverted friends, as he realizes, looks like the dumbass is at it again. Before then, shaking his head saying, so annoying. As soon as he leaves out of the school grounds, that's when he soon notices that of a few male students all basically packed together in front of the school, all having that of motorcycles, scooters, and all of them wielding that of bats and metal pipes, as this being a few delinquents all across that of Kuo town. But then, one of them revving that of the engine of his motorcycle saying, hey there, Hyoudou, me and my boys have a few words for you. But then, can't help but basically scoffing that of annoyance saying, great, guess I'm gonna have to deal with this first. However, before he can basically crack his knuckles, he was soon hit upside the back of the head by a bat, before then collapsing to the ground, and that of pain before blacking out. Soon he begins to wake up, but then he begins hearing multiple chatter and snickering, as he soon basically winces from the pain from the back of his head, as he looks around and realizes he's in that of an abandoned warehouse, realizing, oh, you've got to be shitting me. But then, that's when the thug, looking like that of your generic, anime tough guy delinquent, with basically pompadour and everything, popped up collar and shit, with that of a metal pipe in his hand, saying, it's time for you to be put in your place, Hyoudou. You roughed up a few of my boys, and you've even basically not humiliated me a few times. It's time for us to get our vengeance, saying, and you did it by basically sneaking me, knocking me out, and bringing me here. You know, if you actually put this much work into basically thinking of basically beating me, you would have basically have that of a better education, you know? Within hearing that, all of them couldn't help but get snicker, and some couldn't help but basically whistle. But then the delinquent pompadour guy saying, shut the hell up, you all, and you shut the fuck up too. This is between you. I'm going to finally do what we should have done. Every single one of us is going to put you in the ground, Hyoudou. So get ready. Today's your death day! As running at him with a lead pipe. Before then, he crouches down for a bit as the guy was about to slam down the pipe on his head. However, he soon basically slams his fist in his gut, basically doubling over as he could help but basically, gasp for air before then getting an elbow right in the face, sending him flying, dropping his pipe as well. Within, many of the guys who basically saw this saying, "All right then, who's next?" Within, many of the thugs began coming right after him. With doing so, with one guy trying to swing with bat at his face, he grabs the bat, slams his fist in his face instead, sending him flying. Throwing the bat to the side, he soon dodges another metal pipe before then kicking the guy in the groin and then kicking him into that of the gut, sending him dovering over. Two guys come right after him as they all scream, "Die!" Before then, he rolls out of the way, grabs one of the pipes, before then throwing the pipe at one of the guy's knees, before him basically squealing in that of pain, crumpling down to the ground. Before then, the other guy saw that. However, that's when Seishu grabs out of the guy's pipe, before then bashing him over the head with it instead, knocking him out with one hit alone. Dodging out of the way of a few more hits. Before then, he gets hit in that of the arm by one of the guys of the bat. Before then, hitting him with that of a left cross to the jaw, knocking him out, as he can't help but wince a little bit from that of the pain, as he rolls his shoulders, trying to get back the feeling in his arm. Before then, not getting a chance to rest up for a bit, he rolls out of the way from a few more hits, with even some people throwing out fists and kicks themselves while still having some pipes and bats in their hands. However, deciding to not playing their game, he grabs that of a bat on the ground and then basically slams it in one guy's head. Before then, he basically used that of the bottom end of the bat, slamming in one guy's gut, before then using the top of the bat, slamming it into his chin, sending him flying upwards and down to the ground. Not stopping there, he soon basically hits a few more guys in section with that of the bat, bringing them down to the ground as he keeps on going over and over again, knocking out each and every one of the thugs and delinquents without even holding anything back, even to the point where he was basically knocked to the side. However, he has that of one of the guy. He basically sees one of the scooters as he can't help but basically have that of a twisted grin on his face. Within seeing a pipe as on the scooter, he basically goes into the crowd and begins wailing like crazy, swinging the pipe while basically riding around on the scooter, knocking so many people off their asses and even basically crippling them in pain as well. Before then, he was soon almost knocked off the scooter. However, he had to slide from that of a hit coming right at him, as feeling a bit of pain while sliding on the ground. He can't help but get back up, only seeing a few of them, because he can't help but try and huff from the exhaustion, before then saying, "I'm not done yet. Come and get me, you sons of bitches!" as he runs into the crowd of the remaining thugs and gangsters. Before then, in that of a few minutes later, him being the only one still standing tall, huffing and puffing, with a few bruises, a black eye, and even that of a little bit of blood dripping down his forehead, and not in possibly even a cracked rib or two. Having a hard time breathing, but still standing, saying, "Okay, that takes care of that," while breathing in and out, trying to catch his breath. Before then, thinking, gotta get back home. Who knows, mom and dad are probably worried about me. These bastards definitely dragged me without even bringing my bag along. Hopefully these bastards have a phone I can use to call my parents. As he looks through one of the thugs' clothes and pockets, through each one, trying to find a phone. Little did he know, another thug basically saw this coming as it being the leader, the one with the pompadour, As he can't help but get angry at this, saying, after all this work, after everything we did, we couldn't even bring him down. This son of a bitch. I'm tired. I'm tired of getting my ass kicked by him. He needs to die. I want him gone. Gone forever. As he mentally thinks this, he pulls something out of his, pocket, as it being a knife. As he gets ready, as he walks over to that of, Seishu, he goes through another punk's clothing before then, seeing that of a phone, saying, hell yeah. As soon he realized, it's not even a flip phone, it's one of those slide-up phones. Dude, for a thug, you have some nice-ass shit. With then saying, seriously, if you got shit like this, why the fuck would you become a delinquent? As then he begins to basically put in the number for that of his parents. Before then, soon, realize, as then his mother calls saying, who is this? Who are you? And saying, Mom, it's me. With then realizing, oh, Seishu, I was worried about you. Where are you? Why haven't you called? Saying, yeah, it's a long story. I'll explain in a bit. Just want to tell you I'll be home in a little while. After going to the hospital for a little bit. But then saying, the hospital? Wait, are you? Don't worry. It won't cost you and Dad anything. I got some money to spare. I got some spare money to pay for my treatment, so I got nothing to worry about. Saying, sweetie, that's not saying. Like I said, don't worry. I'll be back. As then he hangs up. As soon as he stands up, throwing the phone back to the guy, before he can make one step, that's when he was soon stabbed in that of the back. As he can't help but realize that he was. Before then, he looks back, seeing that of the guy with the pompadour, realizing, you bastard, you're nothing but a monster. You deserve nothing but death. You worthless bastard! Before then, soon collapsing to the ground with the knife basically pulled out, as soon blood begins to come out of his wound. And then begins to soak right through that of his Kuo Academy uniform, as that of the black blazer being soaked in blood before it soon goes down to the ground. It also soaks onto the ground as well. Not into a big puddle, but still quite big enough. Within realizing what he did, he soon drops the knife saying, shit, what did I do? No, I ain't going to jail for this shit. I ain't going to jail. This is your fault, not mine. You fucking prick. Within, he runs away, getting on that of his bike. Before then, driving out of the warehouse. Before then, in Saishu's thoughts saying, this can't be happening. I've been stabbed before, but I don't know if I'm going to survive this one. This can't be happening. It's trying to get up, move out of the way, trying to get to that of the exit out of the warehouse, saying, I still have my life to live. Mom, Dad, Issei, all I ever wanted to do was basically wanting to live a good life, make a name for myself for their sakes, be a model citizen. And yet it feels like the world was constantly against me. Why? Why me? What did I fucking do to deserve a life like this? As soon he begins to pass out from the rapid blood loss. Before then, that of a hum comes through that of his mind saying, worthy host has been found. Within, hearing of that voice saying, as he can't help but open his eyes for a bit, saying, what the? As then, he begins to think, I'm hallucinating. Probably from the blood loss. Yeah. As right in front of him being that of a bright golden screen. Within, as the screen basically says, host found, do you wish to accept system? Within saying, system. You know what? Fuck it. I'm hallucinating. it's not real, so why the hell not? Accept, yeah, sure. Saying, accepted, host has accepted system. Congratulations, you are now the wielder of the Tales of system. Before then, hearing that of an error screen, as then Saishu begins to pass out more, saying error, error, error. Current user is on the verge of death. To prevent user's death, Tales of system will now be going through that of life-saving mode. Due to life-saving mode, user will may lose that of several crucial features that will be suppressed for the foreseeable future at this time. To prevent user from dying, one premium summon ticket will be used to summon that of a powerful healer from a random Tales of universe at this time, with then soon and a bright light and that of rainbow colors soon materializes that of multiple papers. However, from those papers, a hand grabs them, as it looks like that of a child's hand, before then seeing that of the young man, the young boy, wearing that of a white robes, black tight pants, and black shoes that almost look like they're basically, well, one with that of the pants, not to mention that of his short bob cut style hair with that of one, with basically an ahode sticking out from the top of his head, and his lime green eyes as he grips the paper, saying, I'm Luffy, but then realizing, oh my gosh, you're hurt. Before then going to that of the young man, before then a bright sparkling blue light begins to come around him, as this being the boy healing, as the wound that Saishu had is now closing, and the blood also fading as well. But not just the blood as well, but even that of all of his wounds, from his cracked ribs, bruises, and even bludgeoning, scratches as well. Even the blood on his forehead begins to fade too. Before then, he begins to stir and realize, what the hell is going on? Before then, he begins to get up and notice that he's not alone. Before realizing, hey kid, what are you doing here? This place isn't safe, especially for somebody like you. Where's your parents? I gotta get you out of here. Before it saying, hey, I'm okay, and are you okay? I mean, I did have to heal you, and you were pretty beat up, and within looking all around him, saying, all of these people are pretty beat up too. Within realizing, wait, you saw all these people here, and yet you came straight to me? Saying, actually, I was summoned here. You summoned me. Saying, I what? No, wait, summoned what? The fuck you talking about, kid? Are you hallucinating? Before then, saying, due to having to use that an emergency summon for that of specific type of character, you have been restricted from that of the Tales of System summoning system for at least that of 24 hours. Once that of the hour of restriction is up, all systems will be that of functional for that of your pleasure. Until then, please have a good day, and please do not try and die again. Seishu Hyoudou. Within hearing that, saying, what the hell? Seeing the golden screen, and before it disappears, saying, I'm still hallucinating. I have to be hallucinating. No, you weren't, because I saw it too. I made sure to heal everything, but you had to go through a little bit of mental damage. So, saying, then realizing, what the hell is going on? For then saying, hey, before you ask, can I introduce myself? Since you're the one that summoned me. But then him basically bowing with that as he puts the papers back into that of his, robe's pocket, saying, my name is Lafiset. It's a pleasure to meet you. Seishu, was it? Within saying, yeah, it's Seishu. And you really healed me. Within saying, yeah, I did. Before then, looking around him, saying, is it possible for you to do the same for these guys here? Saying, wait, you these guys? Yeah, I beat the living shit out of them, and they all tried to beat the hell out of me. Even one guy actually attempted to kill me. But even so, I don't think these guys deserve it too much of a beating that I gave them. Some of them might have that of irreversible damage, and I don't want to be responsible for that. Just heal them enough where they can basically, well, get back up on their feet. After that, they're free to do what you want. Saying, you're really nice. You know that? If only people knew that, kid. If only people knew that. With that, Lapiset heads off to heal the first guy, mainly the one that he took the phone from. Before then, he goes off to do them one at a time, realizing he really is healing them. What kind of power is that stuff? Before blinking again, seeing out of the golden screen with a timer saying, go Tales of System, This is somewhat weird. What the hell did I get myself into? As this is the beginning on how a delinquent boy with a kind heart basically became part of the supernatural and created his own faction built on that of people from another world. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Let's read them. And yeah, I know that I said that this wasn't going to be a long one, but that's my own bad, to be honest. Plus, again, I wanted to show the differences between Issei and Seishu as well. That, well, Issei is still the pervert, and, well, Seishu is the delinquent. Well, Issei is a good guy, basically dragged in with stupidity and led by that of his urges for boobs and a harem. Seishu is basically a good guy who basically seems like a delinquent and a bad guy, but is actually cares about people in general. Not to mention, I wanted him to have a connection towards a certain character that always gets basically shafted during that of DxD, and it's just mainly used as a freaking plot device. Also, the whole gardening club thing, honestly, that was an idea I had for a twin brother Issei story that I originally wanted to do, which was the Rune Factory one, about him being part of the gardening club, but I had to scrap it. So I brought it back for this one, at least as that of a, well, Easter egg for a story that I know that I probably won't be doing anytime in the future. So yeah, at any rate, also, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification key to date my videos when I upload on the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, my gaming channel, my main channel, my other channel, my Patreon, and my Cash App. All linked in the description below if I'm not too lazy to do so. So, with all that said, this is Leon Mookie, signing out. Later, guys, and hope you all take care.